You're about to witness the most terrifying animals that ever lived in Australia before humans showed up. Whoa, and believe what these ancient predators could do until you see. What happens when they fight back against their greatest enemy? From the smallest proto-wombats to some of the largest land predators that have ever existed, here's one thing that you should know about the megafauna of Australia. Our continent was a war zone. Mammals fought back. Thylacoleo, a psycho koala, its bite crushed utes. But one animal almost made the giant wombat go extinct. Meet Diprotodon, a 4-ton wombat tank. One swing your Vegemite. It was basically a short-faced kangaroo that got its face chewed off by life and evolved into a weapon of mass destruction. Weighing more than a Hyundai Tucson and standing taller than an NBA center, it was the mammalian equivalent of a T-Rex. I mean, look at its massive forelimbs, which were so strong that it could single-handedly wipe out an entire forest of eucalyptus trees. If only it had opposable thumbs, it would have been unstoppable. But as we all know, Australia's natural history is littered with creatures so big that they ended up causing their own extinction. So why was the giant wombat no exception? First of all, let's talk about what this thing ate. Despite its ferocious appearance, Diprotodon was a herbivore, munching on leaves and vegetation like it was going out of style. And because it was so freaking huge, it needed a ton of food to stay alive. Like, this thing was a 4-ton tank, not a sports car. And 4-ton tanks don't just run on fumes. They need fuel, lots of fuel. So if you're a giant wombat weighing more than a fully grown giraffe, you better eat a lot of plants to keep your engine running. But that meant that Diprotodon had to spend a lot of time eating, which left it vulnerable to attack. There were plenty of predators around that would happily take a chunk out of a giant wombat if given the chance. And then there's the fact that Diprotodon was just plain old. Okay, not literally. It lived around 25 million years ago during the Miocene epoch. But if you compare it to other Australian megafauna, it was basically a fossil. See, Diprotodon had been around for a long time, and during that time it had evolved into a very slow-moving, very large mammal. Basically, it was the ultimate grazer. But that meant that it wasn't exactly built for speed or agility. Trying to outrun a predator while waddling on stubby legs would have been like trying to escape a hungry lion while hopping on a pogo stick. Not exactly a great strategy. So why didn't Diprotodon just fight back? Well, the thing is, despite being massive, Diprotodon was actually a pretty peaceful guy. It didn't have any natural weapons like claws or horns to defend itself. Its mouth was full of teeth, designed for grinding plants, not tearing up flesh. And let's be real, how many vegetarian T-Rexes have you seen? Yeah, didn't think so. But Diprotodon wasn't built for violence. It was built for munching on leaves and kicking back. Sure, it could stomp on a few quincanas if they got too close. But it wasn't exactly going to go out of its way to start a fight. That's why it was easy prey for smaller, more aggressive creatures like Thylacoleo, a relative of the modern-day wombat, that was built for fighting. With its powerful jaws and sharp claws, Thylacoleo was basically the Wolverine of ancient Australia. It wasn't afraid to use them. When Thylacoleo encountered a Diprotodon, it was like a bull in a china shop. Thylacoleo would have easily shredded the giant wombat's thick skin and sent it packing. If you've ever seen a pack of dingoes go after a large animal, you'll know that even though a single dog won't stand a chance, multiple dogs can force a large animal to move away from where it wants to be. And it's likely Thylacoleo used this same tactic to harass Diprotodon. The only problem for Thylacoleo was that it couldn't kill Diprotodon. And if it couldn't kill the giant wombats, then it couldn't get rid of them either. This led to a stalemate, with Thylacoleo unable to defeat Diprotodon, and Diprotodon unable to defeat Thylacoleo. It was like a never-ending game of cat and mouse, except with way more fur and way less cheese. Meanwhile, our human ancestors had arrived in Australia around 65,000 years ago, and as soon as they saw a giant wombat, they were like, "Well, hello there, little piggy. Let's have some dinner." The problem was that the humans had spears, and the giant wombats didn't. And if you've ever tried to fight off an angry mob with nothing but a wooden spoon, you'll know that it's not a fair fight. The humans were able to hunt down the giant wombats and kill them for food. And that's probably what happened to the last of the Diprotodonts. They were simply too easy a target for humans who needed a good meal. In fact, humans are the reason that Diprotodon went extinct in the first place. The giant wombat was perfectly adapted to the Australian environment. It had no natural predators that could take it down. And it was only thanks to the arrival of humans and their pointy spears that the giant wombat met its doom. In a way, The humans outsmarted the giant wombat because they were able to use their intelligence and technology to take down such a massive creature. But that doesn't mean it was an easy fight. The giant wombat was still a formidable opponent, and it put up a good fight until the very end. Maybe if it had fought back harder, it could have survived, but we'll never know, because the giant wombat chose to be peaceful. It paid the ultimate price: extinction. And now we have to live with the guilt of knowing that we could have saved it if we'd only known how. I can't help but feeling like we could have done something. Could you outsmart a megalania? Drop your plan below. Share this with mates who'd be dingo bait. Humans didn't just survive, we hunted these beasts extinct. We're bloody legends. As humans moved across Australia, they left behind cave paintings depicting scenes from their daily lives, including hunting trips. One rock art site in particular stands out, featuring a battle between humans and the deadly megalania, Australia's largest venomous snake. The painting shows a group of humans armed with spears taking on a monstrous snake with a gaping mouth filled with sharp fangs. The humans are shown with exaggerated features, emphasizing their strength and determination. One of them even has a spear lodged in the snake's head. The scene is intense, depicting the struggle between humans and the natural world. The humans' victory over the snake is a testament to their adaptability and survival instincts. The deadliest predator, it's always us. The giant snake, known as the megalania, was a fearsome predator that lived in Australia millions of years ago. It was one of the largest snakes that ever lived, reaching lengths of over 10 meters. Its venom was deadly, capable of killing its prey in minutes. The megalania was an ambush predator, lying in wait and striking with lightning speed. Its teeth were like daggers, and its bite was incredibly painful. Despite its size, the megalania was surprisingly agile, able to move through the underbrush with ease. It was also a patient hunter, willing to lie in wait for hours if necessary. Our ancestors weren't the first to try and kill a megalania. The cave paintings show that early humans weren't the only ones who feared this creature. Aboriginal legends tell of the rainbow snake, a gigantic serpent that lived in the earth and created the rivers and lakes. It was said to be so powerful that it could swallow humans whole. The rainbow snake was both revered and feared by the Aboriginal people, seen as a creator deity but also a dangerous predator. These stories and the cave paintings show that the megalania had a profound impact on those who lived in its territory. It was a creature of immense power, and its presence was felt throughout the land. The megalania's legacy lives on in the stories and art of the Aboriginal people. They were able to adapt to this world and thrive in spite of the dangers that it presented. Their ability to learn from their experiences and make changes when necessary was key to their survival. Some things never change. Could you outsmart a megalania? Drop your plan below. Share this with mates who'd be dingo bait. South America's horrors are next, so smash subscribe or you're extinct. Nope.